Welcome everyone to the Enology webinar series. My name is Andrea Botezato. I am an associate professor and Enology extension specialist with Texas A&M Texas AgriLife Extension Services. And today we are going to discuss the Auric Infinity Barrel technology. With that, I would like to invite the presenters today, Mr. Bruno Alexander and Mr. Vitalie Popa, to introduce themselves and then take it away.
So welcome everybody. My name is Bruno Alexander Gantenbrink. I'm a German citizen who moved in 2012 to Croatia. I founded this company in 2016. The original idea was to make standard barrels, and some years ago I started my collaboration with Vitalie. We made some first tests in 2021, and last year on ProWein we met once again, and from this moment we are full on. And now I would like to hand over to Vitalie, because everybody wants to learn about the technology and not about standard barrels, because everybody should know. Thank you.
Right, so hi everybody, my name is Vitalie Popa. Originally I'm from Moldova, but I've been living and working in different countries for the last 18 years, mainly in winemaking industry. And I would like to share, I came up with an invention that will solve it's a new chapter in winemaking, which allows you to make wines without any added additives and preservatives, and it's related to barrel winemaking at this stage. So as you might see behind me, I have two barrels. One is a standard barrel existing in the market, and the second one is our technology. So we will zoom it to the screen and we will start presenting this PowerPoint presentation. We'll put it on a screen just to make it easier and bigger and more better view for everybody in the audience. And so our technology is a winemaking without any additives and preservatives, and this is the ultimate meaning of this technology, but it's not limited to this. So the construction of standard barrel that we have is the bung made out of wood, silicone, and glass. Then you're having the wooden staves, hoops with rivets, and wooden barrel heads. This construction has been in the market for more than 300 years since people working with in a commercial level. And I found that the bung is the biggest problem during barrel winemaking and aging, and nobody is literally, very little is discussed about the bung in books or by different webinars. And I would like to say that this is the main cause of oxidation, contamination, and evaporation when it comes to barrel winemaking. Because, first of all, 6 people could be involved in taking laboratory samples, taking samples, lees stirring, topping up the barrel, sulfur addition, and even CO2 when it's creating during fermentation. If it's not used a proper bung, then this bung could come out of the barrel, and sometimes we don't even know for how long the barrels was open. And moving forward, everything what you see on top is the article, and we will provide the source of all the articles existing online that people can read and where they can see that these problems have been addressed. So talking about staves and stave, there's a limit of fiber saturation, which is roughly around middle of the thickness of the stave. And if we're thinking about is about 12.5 or 12 or 13 millimeters, because each stave is around 25 to 27 millimeters. Then from the article, the oxygen reaching the wine contained in a barrel does so via the wood and via the joints between the staves. So the main thing what we would like to talk about is the joints wood on wood, which in the standard barrel it's until today. Another article is pointing out that they're pointing out that oxygen is often through the wood. So when you're looking at the hoops of the barrels, standard barrels, they're made out of stainless steel, like a steel, and then they're riveted with rivets. So they're not having, you have different pressures applied on different hoops, depending where these hoops are placed on the barrel. So the article shows clearly that you have 25 to 30 bar force pressure on the barrel heads, and then you're having from 0 to 14 depending. And as closer as you go to the silicone bung, the less pressure you have on those hoops. This is from the articles. So the experiments also prove that the transfer through the complete oak is seriously limited, which tells us that the problem on the standard barrels, it is there when it comes to hoops as well. So another article explains us that during the winemaking and aging, because of the cellar temperature and humidity that regulates the wine evaporation, you end up with different pressures inside the barrel, where there's a positive pressure or a vacuum pressure. And then going malolactic fermentation also creates a positive pressure. Stacking the barrels also, when we're discussing about different types of stacking, if it's in one layer, this is not a problem at all. But when you start stacking and you're using the wrong racks for this process, then you are applying the weight of those barrels on top of each other, which will deform even more the structure of the barrel. And on the right side, you have the perfect racks if you want to stack them. These ones are mainly used for people that like mainly used for earthquake racks proved to be, and also they don't have any weight put on each barrel on top of each other. So coming back to the last article that we find in the industry, this is the OTR for the last 90 years when it comes to the research, and the French that they prove in the last research that they've done that you're looking at 14.4 milligrams per liter of or oxygen transfer rate in the first year out of the brand new barrel. Now, my biggest question to everybody in the industry is, if you're having a bung and you're opening this bung so many times during the year, whether it's during winemaking or during aging, and the silicone bung does not give you any control over this process, how can we talk about micro-oxidation? In my opinion, it's macro-oxidation. Because if you imagine, if you're having a vacuum created by evaporation, and you suddenly take this bung out, you will bring so much oxygen inside this barrel that we will be considered as macro, not micro. Now, I would like to discuss and explain you what Auric Infinity technology is. So it's maceration, fermentation, malolactic fermentation, aging under continuous pressure inside the custom wooden barrel. It gives you full control of oxidation, contamination, and evaporation. This is the construction of the barrel and the technology itself, where we replace the silicone bung with a stainless steel, sustainable stainless steel bung, which is made out of stainless steel and will be for life. Then we are having adjustable hooks with bolts that we can apply the same force on the hooks despite their position on the barrel. We are having acrylic barrel head. One side is acrylic barrel head because we would like to show people that even a partially filled barrel without oxygen inside will not develop any micro development in the liquid. And then we're having the cooling warming, which allows the temperature control. We're having the wooden stake. So we're having silicone rods between each two stakes, exactly at the point where the fiber separation is, to stop that from allowing the oxygen to come inside the barrel in terms of the vacuum it's creating this barrel. And moving forward, to explain how it works, it's very simple. If you take our Infinity empty barrel, when the empty wooden barrel is pressurized, the gas molecules are smaller than the empty wooden channels and the pressure will escape. When the wooden barrel full of water is pressurized, the pressure applied on the liquid locks the wooden channels and the pressure remains constant because you are having cohesion and adhesion forces, capillary action, surface tension, and viscosity. You will not find any research being done, but because we created this barrel already and we tested it for 7 years, we came to this conclusion. This is aging wines, finished wines. So you're starting from a barrel with some whole bunch on top on heavy lees, then we can have whole bunch, literally the mud, full of mud after crusher destemmer. We're having the third barrel on heavy lees. We're having the fourth barrel on light lees. And here downstairs, we have a 15-liter wine inside the empty barrel over 5 months period, still having it, and we will have it for 1, 2, 3 years. For anybody who wants to see it with their own eyes, that in Auric Infinity technology does not matter the humidity and temperature control of the cellar. The liquid inside, in our case wine, is fully protected. This barrel, particularly this barrel, we kept it on heavy lids. We have the whole bunch on top, and this barrel is equipped with optical sensor for dissolved oxygen, oxo-redox potential, which is at the back. So periodically, we are stirring the lids, and as you can see, we have headspace, and we're having the wine, and we are measuring constantly, continuously, from the beginning when we put the juice, unfiltered and unsettled juice with this grapes until today. And going forward, this is the back side where we have, so we are using the sensors from Hamilton, United States, and an optical sensor from Presence, Germany, to combine two so we can see if it's any error between measurements. We are recording all the data on our computers, and we can provide you with all this data. So this is a graphic. This is because it's recording every 5 hours. We set it for 5 hours. You will have two graphics from the beginning, which was the 10th of October 2023 until today, which is May 2024. And as you can see, the temperature and the dissolved oxygen is synchronized. So this is amazing. What we saw is that the higher the temperature, the lower the dissolved oxygen inside our barrel is. It doesn't make any sense, but this is what we are getting in our barrels. So when you're looking at, we don't need humidity and temperature control, because the higher the temperature is, the lower the dissolved oxygen inside the barrel is. I want to mention one very important thing, that these sensors, we have them right now only in the liquid phase, but we will incorporate another one in a gas phase, which is on top, to get the data combined together, which we're going to have liquid phase and then gas phase. Going forward, oxo-redox potential also shows very clearly that the higher the temperature is, the less the millivolt and ORP is shown from the beginning all the way until today. A lot of people tasted these wines that don't show any signs of any signs of reduction in these wines, even though they've been closed and being on heavy lees all this time. When we come into a barrel that we transferred and we put this barrel on light lees, we are having 0.04 milligram per liter of dissolved oxygen, which clearly shows that there is no micro-oxidation through wood. And please mark my words, because in future you will come to this conclusion while working with, is that we came to the conclusion that there is no micro-oxidation through wood when we talk about standard barrels, because of the bung and because of the construction of the barrel. And if we have micro-oxidation through Auric Infinity, we are talking about nano-oxidation, not micro, but nano, because the pressure that we're having on our barrels does not change in time. Going forward, so typically the wine consumes oxygen rapidly and maintains levels around 0.05 milligrams per liter. Going back to this number, 0.04, we are showing clearly that there is no oxygen coming inside the barrel through the wood itself in Auric Infinity technology. And then down you can see a state that 2 days or 3 days ago, we disassembled a red wine after fermentation is finished, after 6 months in a barrel, malolactic finish, fermentation finish. We disassembled it to prove and to show to you that where our silicone rod is, it's above the fiber saturation point. The wine did not travel, did not pass the silicone rod, which means that we're having fully sealed, confined space. This is a proof. Also, by applying the cooling, we can cool the wine to the right temperature, we can serve the wine straight at the right temperature, or we can even do the cold stabilization inside the barrel without damaging the barrel construction itself. That's done during a couple of months ago. The wine can be tasted straight out of the barrel, filtered or unfiltered if you have a filter in between, or can also be bottled. When it comes to bottling, everything has to be anaerobic, and we came up with a solution at Geisenheim University that we are using double closure. So we're doing vacuum corking, and then we're doing screw cap on top. Only for one reason, is that when you're applying the cork, it takes up to 5 hours for the cork to come back to its normal shape after compressing. And by doing vacuum, we have a complete anaerobic system inside. And the screw cap is on top to protect these 5 hours. And also vice versa. If we're having only screw cap, then screw cap can be compromised by being damaged during transportation, and then oxygen can enter and ruin the wine. So we're also doing the different tests on the cork itself because of the amount of oxygen which is already in the closure itself. If you would like to bottle all this wine, from the barrel, you'll have to follow all anaerobic, which means full stabilization anaerobic, filtration anaerobic, and bottling anaerobic. And we are working very, very hard right now to be able in the next couple of months to deliver a very, very good and a very, let's say, affordable bottling system, even for one bottle, so people can have access to anaerobic bottling in a controlled manner with sensors and possible data recording as well. When we are talking about cleaning the barrels, here you clearly see a barrel being cleaned only with a normal standard cleaning barrel equipment inside 80 degrees under pressure, and then we are cleaning the equipment. We put the equipment back, we pressurize with CO2, and after that we keep this barrel under gas. You will ask the question, yes, you said if barrel is empty, the pressure will escape. It might escape in this situation when you are having no control over your humidity and temperature control of your cellar. But even if it escapes, it's so tight and sealed properly, even if the pressure drops, that after opening, you still find the barrel in intact state, that without any mold growing in. Also, for people who want to use their sulfur or burn sulfur or liquid sulfur, they can also use it. Here, Geisenheim University, we did the trials. I did the trials first time in 2021, and we've done 4 wines, Müller-Thurgau, and at the back, as you can see, they did the same technology under pressure, but in stainless steel tanks. And if you read the report that we will provide, you can see that they found very reductive problems with wines made in stainless steel, and none of these problems were shown in wooden barrels. Also, on the left side, you can see 2 barrels in the sunlight, because that was my idea, to put them in sunlight and see what happens if you put them in sunlight, because UV normally is a problem, but in our situation, it turned out that it's a benefit. And also, you can see we had 3% of infected botrytis grapes. This infection did not have any impact on our final quality of the wines. Also, the data is incorporated in the Geisenheim University report. These are the conclusions for the report. And very interesting is that after a very short period of time, the wines was rated, tasted by scientists as ready to drink 3 to 6 months old, as matured wines, even though they were made in 10 days. After pressing the grapes and transferring the must to the barrel, no further technology is required for vinification. This is very important. And the third part is, even after 11 months of aging in partially filled barrels, these white wines showed no oxidation aromas despite the absence of sulfur. All the wines at Geisenheim University were made with 0 additions, apart from commercial yeast on 2 barrels, to see the difference between indigenous yeast in comparison to commercial yeast. Everything else was nothing was added to these wines. And also we found out that some of the wines, we still need to do a big research. Some of the wines after 10 days fermentation, they were already protein stable and tartaric stable, even though no bentonite or any tartaric was added to these wines. The fourth most interesting one is that during microscope control, it was noticed that the yeast from the variants exposed to sunlight during fermentation had a thicker yeast cell, well, compared to the yeast cell from variant and the stainless steel tank variant. And I would like to mention another point here, while observing for 7 years working with this technology, is that if we think, and it doesn't matter where you are in the world, whether you're in Europe, in the United States, or if you're in Australia, New Zealand, the yeast bacteria and enzymes inside the grapes, they are alive. And in Australia, I did the first trial proof of concept at 45 degrees in the shade. And you find yeast and bacteria alive on grapes. So if the yeast and bacteria is living in cold and warm conditions, and also under the presence of sunlight, how do we know that by putting them into the darkness, we are not creating an artificial stress? This, what I'm saying, this conclusion, what I came to, is not backed up with any information. This is my personal belief. And I believe that the proper research should be done, especially after guys in Palm University found this under the microscope. Going forward, for people who are interested in future to have an automation, which means that we're working with a company now to be able to provide a software where you can connect your barrel to a pressure sensor, temperature sensor, CO2 or nitrogen, depending what you would like to add to your barrel. And the reason I put CO2 as well there is because in the literature, we find very clearly that the headspace found in a normal barrel aging, it consists of 6 to 9% oxygen and 20% CO2. This is a normal condition. So I'm sure that we can use nitrogen and CO2 in a ratio, even a mixed ratio, that it will preserve the wines even better. But another research must be conducted to come to a proper conclusion. I would like everyone now in the audience to forget about what I just explained and to focus on a chemistry, what's happening in barrel winemaking. From my point of view, we are having grapes and juice turned into wine. We are getting a percentage of alcohol and the pH is between 3.1 to 4, roughly, approximately. So we are talking about an acidic solvent. Then when we are looking at maceration, fermentation, malolactic fermentation, and aging, in conventional winemaking, we are having chemical reactions, grapes being turned into wine and then aged further in barrels. But in a conventional, we are having macro-oxidation mainly because of the bung itself that has got no control, zero. And then you're having the sulfur that you're adding periodically to keep your solvent, which is wine in our situation, alive, to be able to dissolve and to have chemical reactions with the wood itself over a period of time, 6, 9, 12, 24 or more months in the barrel. When you're looking downstairs, down on the path, you are having Auric Infinity. So we're having the same situation, but we are not having macro-oxidation and we're not having any added sulfur. So the only sulfur we're having the sulfur that is naturally created during fermentation. And also, we would like to do more research in terms of indigenous yeast in comparison to commercial yeast to find out if any of these two yeasts can create even less sulfur during natural fermentation or more sulfur, to come to this conclusion as well. If we're looking at on the right side, the difference between Auric Infinity and the standard barrel is that we are having this barrel from the moment of maceration all the way through the aging under continuous pressure. The grapes, the oxygen in the grapes is consumed in the first stage of fermentation. The oxygen through the oak itself, it is consumed during the fermentation. So we are relying and we are having in such a sealed environment, confined space, only from oxygen as a byproduct from the chemical reaction. And I believe that what we're doing in Auric Infinity, we are accelerating winemaking in terms of dissolving the wood that we're using from our barrels, all the way from maceration, fermentation, malolactic fermentation, and aging. And by applying these two different conventional vice Auric Infinity, we are receiving two different passports for the wine, and these wines will be completely different in terms of quantity of the chemical compounds found in these two different wines. If I put this white winemaking and red winemaking as each step in conventional and in Auric Infinity. So you could clearly see that we can make the wine from the moment we put the grapes inside the barrel all the way to the bottle with anaerobic environment. Also, you can see that if you wish to take over with Auric Infinity from any step that you desire from conventional winemaking to Auric Infinity, you can do it. So the latest stage, you can go from aging further anaerobic. Auric Infinity is not a technology that wants to cancel or to ignore the existing conventional winemaking. It's a new chapter and a new tool for all the winemakers out there and individuals as well who want to experiment and want to make these wines without any additives and preservatives. And where you can see here, we will be presenting in the next 6 months online education, which will help anybody via YouTube to learn each step of the full technological process that we have. By saying this, we proved for the last 7 years, and especially at Geisenheim University, with a report, and here in Croatia with more than 50 barrels, that it is possible to make wines without any additives and preservatives. And I mentioned, attention, conventional quality without any faults. If we're looking at the technology in your left side, winemaking with no added additives and preservatives, gives you full control of oxidation, contamination, and evaporation. And when you're looking at any standard barrels, it gives you a partially sealed vessel with 3 problems: oxidation, contamination, and evaporation. And all these reports that I was talking about, the data, we will present it so you can download, you can read these reports, what the industry is talking, research centers, barrel construction problems, Geisenheim report, Cook's problems, transfer workflow oak, and all this information. If you even want to go even further, this is an article from some winemakers and research done in France, if I'm right, how sulfates affect the wine chemistry, not as being just a preservative, but also an oxidation, control of oxidation, but also forming the actual characters of these wines when you're doing it in conventional winemaking. And this is Auric Infinity technology, and you can scan it, you can find more information. We are very, very busy, and we are really sorry if you visit our webpage and you cannot find a lot of information, because we are continuously updating, and we're working very hard on technological part, on the full information that we want to have it available for everybody out there. Our message, clear message to the whole industry is that everything which was not possible until today to do it during winemaking, and again, barrel winemaking, what was not possible, with Auric Infinity now, we have a full possibility to have full control of oxidation, contamination, evaporation. And last sentence is, it doesn't matter if it's fully aerobic or anaerobic. Through Auric Infinity bung, you can add any additions in a gas phase or in a liquid phase if you choose to do so. So that's all from me.
Thank you, Vitalie. Bruno, would you like to add something?
Yes, I would like to add that as you can read in this Zoom presentation, I'm an engineer, mechanical engineer. I was working in my cooperage, and through Vitalie, I learned how to make wines in the end of the story. And my company is now the first company in the world which made 15,000 liters of wines without any additives and preservatives. And the system is made in a way that it's really not complicated. You need to get a certain education, what will be provided through online education, as Vitalie said. And thank you very much for your attention. And one other thing, if I'm allowed to show you, is this, if you allow me to share my screen, we can show you the batonnage, how you can make it in our barrel.
It was recently, a couple of days, it was traveling around on Facebook to show you that with a simple rotation of the barrel, you're having everything mixed without opening the barrel. Yeah, so this is a standard.
Standard batonnage.
Where
I
you
think
open
everybody
the barrel and you
knows.
start stirring.
Yeah, no, it's good. We see it. And this
And
is
this
the
is
second
fast.
one.
Yeah,
And you
this
just
is
rotate
fast.
the barrel, and you wait some seconds, you rotate it back. This is one option. And Vitalie didn't mention it in the presentation. The equipment itself is having a spare, what is adjustable to be able to be above the heavy or light lees or whatever fermentable product.
We can zoom to my barrel, and I can show you right now. So you zoom it to the barrel. So the barrel itself, the barrel itself has got a cooling coil. We did a 3-section cut where you can have a look inside. And if you look at the spare, if you go a bit down, the camera, if you look at the spare is movable, so you can be above the sediment or not, but it also helps you if you want to stir your lees, you can just pump in or bring the nitrogen in, and it will stir, will mix all your lees at the bottom without the need to rotate the barrel like in the video that Alex showed. Yeah. So that's pretty much, and now one little video that's going to be less than 1 minute. Our colleague will show you our research and development room where we're conducting all our experiments. So you'll clearly see all our barrels that we work daily. We work and we record the data. And if anyone is traveling to Europe or mainly to Croatia, if they reach Croatia, anybody is more than welcome to come and visit us and taste the wines that we're making, because we would like to share all our information with the industry and to have let's say, ongoing answer to everybody that it is possible to make. So we didn't just make one barrel and we came up to say we're having lots of barrels with different wines, whites and reds, and we're making all these wines without any additives and preservatives. Absolutely nothing. We're having wines made with wild yeast or indigenous yeast, and we're having wines made with commercial yeast, just to get us close to the profile with people already used when it comes to variety, with Chardonnay or Sauvignon. And also we're having the full system apart from the bottling, which we're fixing it right now, to be able to show anybody how you can easily go from the barrel without losing the quality all the way to the bottle, whether you want filtered or unfiltered wine. Yeah.
We have a question. Is it possible to add oak without compromising quality?
Adding oak. Oh, one thing is what's very interesting is that we use brand new barrels, and we did not get, through Auric Infinity technology, we did not get an abundance of flavors from flavonoids and all the phenolic parts from this oak, brand new oak, into the wine. This is one thing. Second one, the entrance for this design is 110 millimeters. So anybody who wants to use alternative oak to add to the wine, they can also do it, because the entrance is big enough. But to answer the question, what exactly is it? Because we're already making an oak barrel. So by adding alternatives, or what is the question? Because that's
I think you answered the question, because the person who asked said, thank you, perfect.
Yeah, so yeah, absolutely. So we're looking one very interesting part here, which I did myself, but also research must be done. So what we realize is that when you're using barrels in conventional winemaking, you are consuming this oxygen in the first 3 to 5 millimeters of the stave. So every time you are filling this barrel, the oxygen is consumed, and it's very hard to extract more. With Auric Infinity, we can have an empty barrel, and we can pressurize it with air prior to filling with juice or berries or what you have, and we can force the oxygen to go back into the empty channels of the wood, which normally you cannot do it in conventional barrels. So that's another, to regenerate, literally to bring more oxygen prior to fermentation. That's another feature that we can achieve with this equipment and the construction of the barrel itself. Also, if you take this equipment and you try to put it on a standard barrel existing in the market, it is not going to work, because of a very simple thing. The custom construction of these barrels, which have silicone rod between each stave, hoops with bolts, and then the bung itself. So you must have this custom done barrel before you can use this bung on. Yeah, just to I'm connecting with a lot of questions that are being asked all this time, so I'm trying to go ahead of people that are thinking. I know it's a lot of information. I know a lot of this information does not make any sense in comparison to conventional winemaking.
Vitalie, can you say some words about toasting and sharing? Because this was also a question.
So we are seeing difference in toasting in taste of the wines, but not straight away or in a very short period of time when it comes to let's say first 2 months, 3 months. We're having Chardonnay that was taken out of the barrel and put in stainless steel after 2 months. We have after 6 months, and we have continuously, we have a barrel that is still Chardonnay in the barrel itself. And between these two different toasting, medium toast or hard toast, we can see these characters developing more, but it's very intense. So it's so intense that you literally need to blend it with another weaker wine to get it.
And what we did, we attended on one fair some 10 days ago, and we transferred the stainless steel Chardonnay into a new Auric Infinity, and then the oak flavor came even more out. So if you want to have oaky flavor, you can ferment in one, transfer it into another one, and then you can have this oaky flavor in a quite short period of time.
So it depends. We will explain from now on via online education every single detail, like what we achieved, what we've seen, and I believe that winemakers who have a lot of knowledge, they can apply their knowledge to this technology, and they will find even more in time than what we have today. Because today this is a new chapter. None of the universities apart from Geisenheim University in Germany has done any research. And this is what we would like. Yeah, Alex will say.
I would like to add one thing. Last vintage, we used many oak barrels and also acacia barrels, but we also did one white wine in a linden barrel. So we are the first company who did Linde, and from our experience, this white wine has an amazing flavor itself, and it's preferred from women more than from men. So this is a completely
and we also have samples, and we will keep these samples for people when they come to taste the difference between this. It's amazing because normally you cannot make in Linde because of the porosity, and it's a soft wood. But we proved that we can make it with Infinity with no additives and preservatives. That's yeah. And yeah,
I'm very excited about the linden one. Linden aroma is one of my
it's actually, if we transferred later to a oak barrel a bit, and just to see the difference, but we will repeat. We know what we got now, and I cannot explain it. It's a perfume. You're sitting half a meter away, and it's just a perfume.
And one other thing I would like to mention. We made 2 different red wines, and then we emptied one red wine barrel, but the lees and all berries and everything was still inside. And then we added some Merlot on this other red wine, what is Plavac Mali, a local variety. And now the Plavac Mali taste you have in Merlot. So basically, you can switch with flavors from different grapes.
Yeah. So you can play which in a conventional barrel winemaking you cannot do these things, where here you can do any combination possible. That's why the name we put Infinity, because it's infinite possibilities. And one thing is, in our case this is wine, but this applies to wine, beer, cider, vinegar. Any industry that uses wooden barrels as part of their technological process can use this.
And also, let's say I would like to say something about beer. You can also make a beer in an Infinity barrel and put it on the berries of Chardonnay, and then you should get a beer what tastes like Chardonnay. This is also.
So there will be flavors, different combinations, especially for craft.
One question I see here on this F&A. The costs, let's say, the first 2,000 pieces we want to sell for 2,000 euros ex works, and it's including the rack, it's including the equipment, including one pressure gauge, including the cooling coil. And this is a complete package.
Without the cooling system itself, yeah. And we made this deal because we had an interview via Wine Plus, is an online platform in Europe, and they ask us, many people ask about the price, so we came to this first. We know We know the benefits you are receiving. First of all, you do not, I forgot to mention, you don't need to top up the barrels. You do not need to top up the barrels. A partially filled barrel can stay for months without any problems. So the benefits, what you're getting from this technology are a lot of big benefits, especially for people who worked in cellars and they know how much work is with barrels. When you clean the barrel, also, we are having an empty barrel, as you've seen it there. You can keep it for months empty with the liquid, and you can clean it prior to vintage. So you don't have to clean it and keep it empty until. So it's better even to keep it like that, dirty in a way, if you choose to do so, and then only clean it. And I'll show you this barrel.
Don't call it dirty. It's used.
No, it's not. It's full of leaves. It's dirty. That's what we call it in a cellar. It's a dirty barrel. So this it's been sitting with wine, and then we took it empty, and we can keep it like this under pressure, continuous pressure point. It's 0.3 bar now under CO2, and we can clean it just prior to fill it. So we can wait another 2 months when vintage starts, and we can refill this barrel. So we have empty barrels, we have let's say dirty barrels, we have one lease, we have everything in this room. So if anybody has any doubts, is more than welcome to come and see this with their own eyes and even taste the wines.
I have a question about microorganisms, specifically Brett, but any type of microorganisms. What is your experience with that? You mentioned microorganisms in your presentation, something about Australia, but I think you went over it very quickly. So could you please talk a minute about that?
So far, I can guarantee you 100% that the starting point is the very important point when you put the grapes in and what you're having in those grapes. Of course, because if you're putting very infected grapes and you don't add any additives and preservatives, then you will have problems. This is a normal thing. But the guys in Harvard University proved that with 3% infected by botrytis, we did not have any problems. Another topic I would like to discuss, until now, we did not have any problems with bread whatsoever, because first of all, even let's say, when you're taking the sample out, the barrel is under positive pressure. So nothing can travel inside the barrel, apart from the fittings that you are using the nitrogen to bring extra pressure inside while you're taking the sample out, and your sample tap that you are connecting it to. So if these two parts are clean, there is no way that you infect the product inside while taking the samples out. Even if your botonnage is also done by rotating or sparging, so there is no contamination. Then when you are thinking about transferring, also it's under pressure, so it's not. And even if you have one barrel, let's say, infected, the humidity and temperature and the cooling system of your cellar cannot travel, even if they're up in the air, it cannot come inside your barrel, so you're totally safe. And if you find an infected barrel, you can isolate and the whole cellar is safe. That's a theory, but I want to say during this webinar, I believe that if we find the right combination of different length of the light from the sunlight, I believe that we can control micro. This is a theory only via the acrylic, because the yeast requires 10 times as much as the bacteria to die under UV light. So it needs a proper, we can still use UV light or sunlight to control bacteria, but the yeast can go healthy through.
Vitalie, we have one further question, as I see. Yes, let's say the question is whether you can use it for beer production as well. The answer is a clear yes, because the product itself is fermentation in wood under continuous pressure. So any fermentable product can be added.
One more question to answer the beer person. I know that it's very hard to ferment in a barrel because beer is weaker than wine in terms of chemical composition. And probably now we are giving you even, let's say, an update on what we're working right now. We will be having another product which will allow beer makers and sparkling makers to make the product without any additives and preservatives. And this is called a hybrid product, which is a combination between stainless steel tank and Auric Infinity together. And Alex, if he's got a picture, he can share it. This is just a proof of concept what we're working now. And for beer, people that ask if you can make beer, yes, you can. You can make it in hybrid, then you can transfer it in stainless steel and you carbonate your beer in the stainless steel, which will hold much more pressure than the barrel itself. So the operating pressure in Auric Infinity is around 0.5 bar because of the regulation. A wooden barrel is not classified as a pressure vessel, has never been used as a pressure vessel. So we have to be under 0.5 bar. When it comes to stainless steel, you can apply as much pressure as you want, depending on the characteristic and the construction of the barrel. And you carbonate your beer. All the lees can go into the barrel. And also you can empty your stainless steel tank in many barrels to go into aging of the beer. So this is from the patent. This is just a picture, a rough idea of what to expect in future. This is a hybrid tank, which is a combination stainless steel under pressure and the barrel. And this will be, we are intending to make the first sparkling without any additives and preservatives at the university this vintage, in coming August, to show people that we can make the base, we can age the base, we can make méthode Charmat in the stainless steel, and we can also take the samples out to do méthode traditional second fermentation in bottles as well. So we as I mentioned before, we are having many projects working at the same time, and by the end of this year 2024 we will have all the products available as a full solution to people for different industries. Yeah.
I have a question about the lifetime of a barrel. How many years can you use these barrels?
I truly believe I used some barrels in Moldova already for 5 years, but if you look after the barrel and if it's maintained properly, I believe an outcome from this barrel would be at least 10 years. And also, just to add one more thing, that by having such an interest of 110 millimeters, you can also add alternatives of when it comes to oak, so you can refresh or you can add any.
I would like to mention one other thing, is fermentation usually takes 2 weeks. You can pick unripe grapes, ferment, transfer into stainless steel, pick ripe grapes, ferment stainless steel, overripe grapes, ferment stainless steel. So if the nature is giving us the right time, you can use it 3 times in one vintage.
And if you use the acidity from the first, then you blend it and you have a unique wine that you can't replicate in one go. This is, yeah.
Somebody's asking, can the equipment be transferred from an old barrel to a new barrel?
Alex will...
No, let's say as these old barrels don't have the hoops with bolts and don't have the silicone, it will not work due to the explanation that the hoops close to the bung will allow the oxygen to enter.
But I guess the question is, can they buy just the barrels from you with the hoops and the everything and transfer?
With the hoops, why not? I mean, we never thought about it. Yes, let's say.
So the stainless steel bung is for life. It's stainless steel, so it's really. But we will be looking at possibilities where we can, because we will have to register who's got the equipment, and this is in process. It's a new product, regulations and all this. But yes, we would like to say that it will be possible in future to replace just the barrel and keep the bung.
Comment. I guess the price of the Infinity Barrel is much higher than the usual barrels. Do you think this could be a drawback of the technology?
Yeah, the main idea is, let's say we put a price for 2,000 euros because anybody who is buying this barrel is getting the capability to make wines without any additives and preservatives. And immediately when you get used to work with such technology, you will see all other benefits in this cost reduction. And we just put 2,000 euros without really knowing what the market would say to this. And this is a starting price. And on the long run, Vitalie and me agreed when we started this project that anybody should be able to get such wines, so it will be affordable. It's not the way to make it impossible to buy.
So I had to explain, because a lot of people ask me, if your technology is so good, why didn't you open a winery and make your wines and sell your wines? And my answer is very clear and very simple to them. If I made my own winery, only a few people could benefit from the outcome of this technology, will be the wine. And I would never make so much wine that people will taste these wines. And we went the other direction to be able to work hard so this technology can be available to anybody in the world. And I believe in 21st century, we deserve such a technology where we can reduce the inlet of the additives and preservatives, and we can strive more to put more effort into getting the healthy grapes rather than to worry how to make this wine available in the end with all additives and preservatives.
Somebody's asking, what is the process to order? What is the email address? And I guess my follow-up question to that is, where do you ship?
We will ship everywhere. You can order on our homepage, www.auric-infinity.com.
It's on our webpage as well.
Yes, on the bottom you find an email, and just send us an email, and all other will happen accordingly.
Thank you very much, Bruno and Vitalie, for your presentation. This was very informative. Thank you all for attending. I see we have people from all over the world, so it's super exciting. And with that, I wish you all a wonderful day, and I will see you all next time. Thanks again.